Hello guys, welcome back to another one. This is an FIA race. This is our first attempt. We are going to try and squeeze our 2 attempts into this one video. You can see we've qualified in 4th place, which wasn't too bad at all. Although after qualifying we started to talk, we started to waffle and totally brain faded. And as we hop on board, you can see what the brain fade is. We have started on the soft tyres, totally destroying our chances of a very good result in this one. You can see we're now immediately wanting to try and get past these guys. The one-stop strategy was not far off the pace of the no-stop strategy, although it was really only possible for it to work, I think, if you started in pole position and immediately started driving away. You can see we got stuck behind other runners on the mediums. In fact, it wasn't even mediums, it was hard tyres. There were soft, mediums and hards available, and the hard tyres were the compulsory ones, if I remember correctly. So we shall skip as and when we can, as we're going to try and squeeze in our second try as well into this. We'll show you any incidents or passes as they happen. There's one there. We'll have a quick run back. Bit more drive and having to throw a sexy nose there straight away and taking that. That was a full send. There was no half measures there. As I say, we're on. It's now. We're meant to be making as much time as possible. We're trying to salvage a half decent result out of this, basically, just so as we don't lose a lot of ratings. You can see on the outside of the car, we're big number 19 in the room. Was there anything for us to be had? Lap 3 of 25. Looking for something, but nothing really opening up at the moment. One down. Can we get a move done on Mr. T-Wreck? Also in the Sirocco. Sirocco, very overpowered, OP this season. Allowing me to look a wee bit competitive in a few of the rounds so far. And we should hopefully now get the move done as we end up out front. We shall let the skipping continue as we stretch out as big a gap as we can, knowing the whole time that we're probably going to drop back close to last place because of the pit stop. How many laps did we stay out in the end for? Still staying out on lap 11. Again staying out. Must be getting close to coming in. Was it now? The pits. It looks like it. It looks like it. No! We changed our mind again. Stayed out for another lap. And in we come. Let's see where it drops us down to. That's not as bad. It could have been a lot worse. It could have been a lot worse. Drops us down in the 13th place, and now we're on the appropriate tyres, and they will be slightly better than everybody else in the race, so we should be moving forward here. Wanting to get a move done, but nowhere really to go at the moment. Certainly not wanting to get into an argument with anybody, with a wee bunch of them just on up the road there. There's another 5 spots on up the road there to be had. Another wee skip as and when we can. Surely we're sending that. Send that, you're on fresher tyres. No, that was a wee half a send. I did get a sexy nose there and he came into us a wee bit, but it was only a half send. It should have been a full send. Spot made in the end though. Onwards with the skip. You can see a nice wee bunch of them here to take advantage of, if we can. After the awful brain fade at the start, and starting on the wrong tyres. Pretty hard to make any moves and passes on this wee track. Into the last corner and into the first corner really. And we're thinking we've got a sexy grey nose on his left hand side. That surely has to be one down. Small contact with the car in front, but no harm done. And we do have the line now, as long as he doesn't get right out ahead of us again. Yep, we have the line. That's up in the 11th. A top 7 here. Looks like that's the most that's available at the moment. Enjoy this wee version of this track as well. Enjoy all of the versions of Sardinia. Again, we shall have a wee skip as and when we can, as we've got a second attempt wanting to come down. It's hard to get moves done, and laps were running out. It must be getting to the point where we have to be thinking, oh, Mr. Matthias behind us is certainly got the right attitude. He knows that the laps are running out. We need to take those precisions ourselves. Another couple right there. Surely it was time for us to make those moves. Oh, that was a poor awareness from myself there. Focusing a lot more on the cars in front and forgetting that there's also a car on the ass area. Me feeling like I can swerve from the left hand side of the track over to the right hand side of the track. Not really able to do that, or certainly I should not have been doing that when there's a car very close to me. I should have picked the line and stuck to it. Still in 12th place at the moment, and now we do decide to send a sexy nose. Is that one spot we've made up, or will he drive past us again? We'll squeeze him as much as we can, and he drives past us again. There we send it on him. Up the 11th, onwards with the skip. Only 4 to go. 4 cars in front of us. We need to start pipping them off here as and when we can. Nothing left open there on the inside. Anything to be had around the outside. He leaves us plenty of room. And again another skip. Can we drive right around the outside of the man? It was time to be brave perhaps. The lap's running out. We'll leave it very late. And just about managed to get in front of him. Oh, a wee wheel on the grass as well on the exit, but we've made it stick. Again, a skip as and when we can. Can we go right around the outside of Mr. Fox? No, Mr. Fox squeezing us onto the grass. A wee bit rude, Mr. Fox not leaving a full car's width. But legal, it was perfectly legal. Aggressive and stuff, but it's certainly stuff like that that starts a wee bit of an argument on the track, and I am looking to lunge Mr. Fox right back now after that aggressive squeeze onto the grass. Unfortunately, we mistime it a bit too much, and we end up throwing a very aggressive one up the inside there of the car in front of him at 2 for the price of 1 sale. Although Mr. Turismo had a look at that and he thought to himself, no, that was too aggressive, Scotty, and he's slammed us with a 2-second penalty, which is going to hurt us again. We thought about throwing one on Muhammad there, but not really worth the risk in the end. We do have a penalty which is going to hurt us. I'll have a look at serving the penalty, and oh my god, how painful was it? Again, having to make sure that we'll leave the guys the space. A nice wee nudge in the rear, allowing us to hang on to 12th. Was there any wild crazy lunges coming, however? Onwards with the skip. And it looks like we've brought this one home in 11th position. So after the brain fade, we ended up in 11th position. The next one was Here We Go. And again, thousands of emails from all of our meditating fans wanting us to bring back these beautiful loading screens for you whilst you do a wee bit of yoga and a wee bit of meditating. Enjoy. And there we go. As you can see, in our second attempt, we've qualified in second position. I think 1,000th of a second off pole. Very, very close. Although you can see it wasn't a good room for us. We had a big number 1 on the door, indicating Mr. Turismo wanted a first place in this one from us. Really, when you're a number 1 in a room, the only thing you're wanting is a top 3 or a top 5 for myself, as a very poor result can just throw you a couple of thousand down in the old DR department. And apologies for the bulk standardness, as usual, of the videos. We do not have any kind of editing skills, and in fact I'm walking around the man cave at the moment looking for some small rolly papers to roll myself a smoke. That's the grid walk. And I cannot bloody find any at the moment. Surely. There's a wee box of rolly papers there. I'm back in the air seat. Can't say I remember much about this race, if it was a very exciting one or not. And there, the grid walk. There you seen everyone who turned up that day. Let's go on board for the start. Sirocco always seemed to get... It forced you to start in first gear here. It would have been much nicer off the line if it allowed you to start in second gear, but it didn't. And you'll see it's definitely slow off the line, having to change those 2 gears. The car in front slightly getting away, and the car behind slightly coming up on us. Although the AFF cars, certainly the Sirocco on cold hard tyres, handles much nicer, a lot less slidey and twitchy around those, I think, first 3 or 4 corners compared to all the other guys. So it's a nice car on cold hard tyres compared to other cars I've driven. And you can see after the first couple of corners and coming out of the final one, if we jump out, we are just out of the slipstream of third place. So right now the head is not thinking. We'll jump back on board. You can see he's worried about it straight away, and we just want to make him relax. We've already broke the slipstream, so we just want to make friends with him. Any kind of pass or move or side by side action at all between us two is just going to bring the whole field, well, at least down, I mean, to 6th place there, instead of just us having a wee bit of pressure released. And we have indeed made the guy comfortable. you'll see he doesn't start swerving about and trying to go overly defensive like that again. You see on the way into this corner we'll have a nice big lift. We do not show him any kind of nose to the inside. We back off him, and by now the guy should know, okay, we're basically his teammate at the moment. I would say the field is just out of the slipstream. Now is a fantastic opportunity to, at the very least, consolidate a top 2 position. You can see a nice big lift again. He'll be able to spot that on the radar that we're lifting and not trying to go for it. And again, nudging him on as and when we can, as the guys were still just out of the slipstream. We did have guys in the chat telling us to pass him, you're faster, you're much faster. I'm not sure if we were much faster at all. I think the slipstream in this wee track does make you feel, whenever you're behind someone, as if you could go a lot faster, but the whole track is all slipstream. It's very, very easy for the guy behind. You naturally do feel as if you're being held up, even though you're not. And right now the most important thing was to stay away from that big huge bunch behind us. And I think, was it on this lap that he dropped himself another wee nudge, letting him know we don't want it. And he must be good friends with us now, although when he goes round this corner he drops himself a wee wheel, and it was time to take advantage of that. Hopefully he does not offer the slipstream back, coming to the cars behind. You can see one wee mistake and the cars behind are almost back in the slipstream for the win. As I light myself up a wee cigarette. And I think on we shall go with the skip, guys, because we did indeed have the pace in this one. He stayed with us for a while and we helped him stretch away from the slipstream, but we eventually dropped him ourselves from the slipstream. And we had a pretty lonely race. Most of the race we opened it up to a 6 or 7 second gap, I believe, and then we just tried to control that gap and keep it at around about there. I did feel like I needed a 6 or 7 second gap as we were pushing, because I thought at the end, the last 3, 4, 5 laps, they were all going to start moving back up towards us, although they didn't. We had very, very good consistency on this as well. You can see down the right hand side there, all low to mid 57s, and we were looking after our tyres pretty good compared to what we usually do. And on we went with the fans going wild. They were pretty confident we were going to bring this stuff home at the front, and they were correct, as at no point really the last 2 laps of the race we started waving to the fans who turned up that day, friends and family. We're going wild. So we kept our full focus until the last 2 laps, and then we lost maybe 2 or 3 seconds as we were cruising home. So our overall time really should have been maybe 3 seconds faster if we had have hit another. I think we've done a couple of 59s maybe the last couple of laps, just as we knew it was already over. As we come around to start lap 24. A back marker on up ahead of us as well. Wee small track. You can see how confident we are. We were already wiggling about for the fans, and in fact we actually got away. We got a wee bit lucky there. after me, wiggling left and right there. Just for the fans, obviously, who turned up. Look at them on the left hand side. They were going mad that day. They loved that wiggle. A touch in the wall, and a wee bit of me thought to myself, please Mr. Turismo, don't do it on me. I thought, what a fool. You're going to look if that gives you a 1 or 2 second penalty. We did still feel like a penalty there wouldn't have really have affected us too much. We still had over 5 seconds, I believe, on the guy behind. But it all worked out a treat. I think the points for this round of FIA4s was, I want to say 275, but I could be wrong there, you know. I think maybe 269 or something. But it was a good load of points for us. Just what the doctor ordered. And as the last lap, if the fans do not get a handbrake turn this time, I am going to be so disappointed in myself. They have to get a handbrake turn, surely. They do indeed. They all went over the moon that day. In fact, it was a perfect 360 that they got at the finish line. You can probably hear them in the left hand side there going wild. Thanks guys. Catch us in the next one.